Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second session of Step into 2024. I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple minutes for folks to trickle in, and we will get started shortly. Okay, so I see some of you trickling in. We'll give it a couple more minutes before we begin today's session. I'll go ahead and do a quick overview of STEP before we begin our advising presentation and what to expect with the next few weeks. So welcome everyone to our second session of STEP. For those of you who are not familiar with the Zoom webinar, you'll notice that we are not able to see or hear you, but you do have access to a Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen where you can type your questions, and this allows us to see your questions on the back end. So we will be answering them either live, which means one of us will be unmuting ourselves to answer your questions, or we will be answering questions by typing them back in the Q&A box, and you'll be able to see your questions typed out with an answer. So throughout the session and at the end, you will be seeing all of the questions being answered, but please note that it might take us a couple minutes to get back to your questions since there's like a lot going on behind the scenes, so just hang tight. And this session is also being recorded. So we will be posting the recorded session along with a recap of the main points discussed for you all to refer back to. Okay, so we'll let more folks trickle in. Alrighty. So with that said, thank you all for joining us for STEP. My name is Sam, and I serve as the Academic Support Coordinator at the Trenton Transfer Hub. I am not an academic advisor, but do serve as a point of contact for all of you and for all of our transfer students to support you in getting you connected to academic support resources on campus. I also meet with students one-on-one to help you navigate your transition into UCSD and navigating the quarter system, or if you find yourself experiencing academic difficulty, I'm also here to support you in getting you connected with your advisors. Throughout the summer, you will all have access to different info sessions on topics that will be helpful to you before you begin the school year in the fall. And I'm gonna go ahead and give a little recap of what you can expect with our Step into 2024 program. Okay, so this program begins with Transfer Talks, where we will be hosting virtual sessions like today's, where we will be covering important topics like housing, financial aid, how to get involved at UCSD, connecting with advisors, and many more other sessions. We kicked off our first Transfer Talk session last Wednesday on all things on campus and off-campus housing. So for those of you who were not able to join us last week, we posted the recorded session and summary of notes on our website, which we will be dropping the link in the chat to that shortly. Today is our second Transfer Talk on connecting with advisors at UCSD. So we have our advising experts with us today. Transfer Talks will be held now until mid to late August, and these sessions will be held every Wednesday at 3 p.m. with the exception of June 19th and then July 3rd. But other than that, you can expect to see us here at the same time using the same Zoom link for each Transfer Talk session. So for today's session, we will be talking about connecting with advising at UCSD. And so we know that you all have a lot of burning questions, and we will be getting to answering those throughout the session, and also answering any other questions that you might have within the next few weeks. So to give a more of a recap of what you can expect with STEP, one other component of the program is our Transfers Connect, which will be a great opportunity for you to meet with one another both virtually and in person. So part one of Transfers Connect will allow you to connect with your peers and peers with shared identities, such as folks who have dependents, or if you are military connected, first gen, or undocumented students. So these will be more ways to find niche support services on campus. And then late in summer, we will have our second iteration of Transfers Connect, which will focus more on topic-based connections, where we will be covering topics on transitioning into UCSD, navigating WebReg and degree audits, which are tools to help you enroll for classes at the end of summer, and then also mentor mapping. For those of you who are local and will be able to attend in person, these Transfer Connect sessions will end with a free lunch. And for those of you who join us virtually, you will also have the option to participate on Zoom. And so for those, those Transfer Connect sessions will be led by our transfer peer coaches. So you'll actually be able to get to meet some of them before the school year starts. The next component of STEP is our Research and Involvement series, which will be a series of virtual sessions to help you learn the tips and tricks of getting connected with research and getting involved on campus and building your resume. So these sessions will begin throughout the month of August, and we'll get you prepared on all things research, learning how to apply, and contacting faculty mentors, stuff like that. And then looking ahead, our next Transfer Talk session will be on IGETC and transcripts, where you will be hearing from admissions and advising on next steps and things to look out for regarding IGETC and transcripts and any deadlines that you need to look out for. So this time next week, that's who will be here. And then just a reminder that on June 19th, there will be no session in observance of Juneteenth, but the following Wednesday on June 26th, we'll be having a session on financial aid and bringing in folks from that office to present. So I'm going to go ahead and transition us into our advising experts. So I'll go ahead and pass it off.
All right. Thank you, Sam. It would help if I unmuted. My name is Katie Michael. I am the Dean of Academic Advising in Revelle College, which was one of the colleges here at UCSD. Sam, if you will please forward the slide just a couple times here, you're going to get the roadmap of what we are going to chat about today. We're going to talk about the overview services of UCSD and what that means, since it's probably very different than the advising landscape of the institution that you're used to. We're then going to talk about what to expect this summer in regards to advising, what needs to happen before August, which is when you will enroll. Classes do not start until the end of September, so you have lots of time. We are also going to talk about some things that you should be doing now and resources that can help you. And then we have some pro tips for you. I'm going to ask that you hold your questions until the end, as we will likely answer your question during the next few slides. All right, next slide, please. So this is our crazy roadmap. This graphic shows all of the different advising services at UC San Diego. Now, depending on your college, you will have advisors in your college. I'm from Revelle. One of our other folks here today is from 8th College, but every college has their own unit and their own college advisors. Think of your college advisors as the generalists who will help to direct you and support you in your time here. We are most focused heavily on advising on general education requirements, which do vary by your college, and the university requirements you'll take. You will also work very closely with your department or program advisors for your specific major requirements. And we also have one of our department advising colleagues here today to help us shed some light on that area of advising here on campus. Those folks will be very, very important to you as transfer students, since the majority, not all, but the majority of the courses you take will be for your major. If you have a pre-professional goal like pre-med or pre-dentistry, there are dedicated advisors for that in the health beat role in the Career Center, and they'll help you determine your path for professional programs and anything that you need in terms of prerequisite courses in order to apply to those graduate and professional programs when you finish at UC San Diego. If you are an international student, you will also work with advisors in the International Services and Engagement Office, or ISEO. If you are a scholar athlete, you will have an advisor in athletics who helps with NCAA compliance pieces. And some departments and majors also connect students with faculty advisors. In advising, we work very closely with campus partners. So we have support units that have their own advisors or counselors or coordinators who help support students. Some examples of these include CASP or Summer Bridge or the Transfer Hub. I also want to point out financial aid and the Office for Students with Disabilities. Now, in advising, we do not have information about these offices in terms of your record unless you give us permission to be shared with us. So we don't have financial information about you. We don't have information about if you have any academic accommodations. But if you're someone who would benefit from getting connected with the Office for Students with Disabilities, or OSD, please act now. Don't wait. Please schedule an appointment as soon as you can over the summer to get that process of academic accommodations started so that you're all set once classes start on September 26th. But when we are talking truly about academic advising in terms of your degree requirements, your classes, and earning that degree here, you will need to be in touch with both your college advisors and your department advisors throughout your time here. And I'm now going to pass it over to Camille, who is one of our department advisors on campus.
Hi, everyone. My name is Camille Santa Elena. I'm a senior undergraduate advisor in the School of Biological Sciences. And in the next few slides, I'm going to give you an overview of what you can expect over the summer. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the transcripts that are received and evaluated by the Office of Admissions, the review of student records by major departments and colleges. I'll give you a brief overview of transfer credit, and then I'll also talk about submitting petitions for general education and or major requirements if necessary. As you're getting ready for fall quarter, we as staff are also preparing for fall quarter. You won't see all of the work that advisors are doing like in the background on the back end, but we are definitely busy helping you with your transition to fall quarter, especially enrollment. Next slide, please. As far as transcripts received and evaluated, so at this time, the most important thing that you could do for academics is to submit your transcripts on time. So July 1st is the deadline for all official college and university transcripts to be postmarked and sent to the UCSD Office of Admissions. You would also want to make sure that you send in your AGETSI certification and any AP, IB exam scores that you have as well. It's really important for us to it's important for you to have your transfer coursework submitted to UCSD on time. And it's important for us to have that posted on time so that we can have an accurate picture of your entire academic history before you begin at UCSD. Especially too, we want to make accurate course suggestions for you when it's time for enrollment. Please note that it can take time for all incoming records to be evaluated. So if you can imagine, the Office of Admissions is receiving thousands of documents and they're entering all of that data and evaluating that data over this next coming months. So it may seem like it is taking a bit of time for your transfer coursework to be posted. But I would encourage you during that time just to continue to be patient and know that your transfer coursework will eventually be received and updated and posted to your UCSD record. Your admissions enrollment checklist will also be updated once your documents are received. And then if your transcripts are sent on time, transfer coursework will be posted to your UCSD academic record, like your academic history and your degree audit by August 12th. Next slide. So I mentioned that while you're preparing for your transition and enrollment for fall, advisors are also working in the background to help with that. As admissions is receiving and posting your transfer coursework to your record, most colleges and major departments will begin to review student records as well to make sure that appropriate credit is being granted for your transfer coursework and that your transfer coursework is applying to your degree accurately. I want to point out that some departments may ask you to submit copies of your unofficial transcripts and exam scores to their offices as well. So you would likely receive this messaging from your majors advisors if this is required for them. But please also note that this would be in addition to submitting official transcripts to the Office of Admissions. Something to know is that sometimes advisors need to manually update your record, like your degree audit, if transfer coursework is not posted 100% accurately, or if coursework is not automatically applying towards degree requirements it should be applying to. There's a lot that goes on into making sure that everything is posted accurately, which is why it may take some time for us to clean up your records. But with that said, I want to assure you all that all the advisors are working diligently to have your records cleaned up and as accurate as possible by the time enrollment begins in August. I want to point out too that while we are reviewing student records, it is common for advisors to contact students who need to submit petitions to have certain transfer coursework evaluated for credit at UCSD. But I'll get into this in another slide, but just keep that in mind. And then lastly, during the summer, advisors are answering questions from new students and preparing for orientations and welcome sessions or info sessions. So many major departments will host an orientation or an info session that are separate from the orientations that are hosted by your college. So if you do not receive information about a major department orientation over the next couple of months, you're welcome to follow up with your own major advisor for additional information. Major advisors. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give a brief overview of how transfer credit is evaluated. You're going to learn more about your degree requirements through your orientations, and then you'll also have communication with your college and your major advisors, but I do want to point out some specific key things you would want to take away during this presentation. First, the Office of Admissions determines which courses are UC transferable. So if a course is UC transferable, the transfer course gets posted to your academic history and it will apply to your degree in some shape or form. One resource that is very helpful to reference is assist.org, which many of you may be familiar with already. The website or assist.org shows transfer agreements between California community colleges and four-year institutions like UCSD. You could use the website to determine which certain CC courses grant equivalent credit at UCSD or not. When students or advisors, when you're reviewing assist.org, we want to remind you to keep in mind that some agreements are course-for-course agreements, while others are series-to-series agreements. And course-for-course agreements means that completion of a single course at a California CC will grant equivalent credit for a specific course at UCSD. Whereas a series agreement, a student must complete all coursework listed in the series at the California CC in order to receive equivalent UCSD series credit. So partial completion of that California series does not grant partial equivalent UCSD credit. I know it can be a little complex if you've already looked at assist, but it's also clear too. But if you have questions about how to interpret the agreements, you're welcome to reach out to an advisor. Otherwise, the website's pretty useful. The other thing I want to go over on this slide Just a reminder for you all, to graduate, you need at least 180 total unit undergraduate units, including 60 units, which are upper division. You will take major classes. You will take college general education classes if needed. I want to remind you all that every college at UCSD has different general education requirements. So it would be specific to you. If you're a Revell student versus an college student, you would want to look at your specific general education requirements. And then after that, you have university requirements to complete. If you have questions about how transfer credit specifically applies toward your degree, you will either want to wait for information from advisors, or you can later contact either your college or major advisors for if you have questions. So Katie spoke about this earlier, but just a reminder, if you have any questions related to your major, you would want to contact your major advisor. So I'm a biology advisor, and if you're a biology student and you have questions about your biology transfer coursework, whether it's chem, bio, math, physics, you would reach out to a bio major advisor. If you have questions regarding your general education, your university and total unit requirements, or your AGETSI certification, you would want to contact your college advisor. Next slide. As far as reviewing course petitions, so not every student will need to submit a petition, but some will. If you took courses according to the transfer agreements on assist.org, you will not need to petition. However, if you took a course out of state or out of the United States, you will likely need to submit a petition because most likely that course has not been evaluated for UCSD credit yet. As I mentioned before, some colleges and departments will be reviewing student records, and some will reach out to students proactively to inform them or you if you should submit a course petition. If you are unsure if you need to submit a petition, you could reach out to your college or major advisors, but likely, again, some colleges and departments or major departments will reach out to you first. I do want to point out that some departments can operate differently in terms of how they want you to submit a petition or how they process petitions. If you look at your major department website, they likely have information on their website on how to submit a petition for review. I will include in the chat the most common departments where you'll need to submit a petition. If you need a class to count towards your major, specifically like for bio, math, chemistry, CSE, and physics. However, generally, if you do need to submit a petition, you'll need to fill out the undergraduate petition form, and you'll likely need to submit a copy of your course syllabus. So definitely gather all that if you have that in a file somewhere on your computer. And petitions can take several weeks to be processed, as they often need to be evaluated by faculty members. Keep in mind that petitions are not guaranteed to be approved, and the outcome of petition requests are relayed to students via the Virtual Advising Center, also known as the VAC, which we'll discuss in the next slide. So I'm gonna, again, put links to certain department websites in the chat if it is applicable to you, and then we can go to the next slide.
Thank you, Camille. I'm back. All right. So you might be wondering, and some of you are definitely wondering, according to the chat questions, what do we do to get a hold of an advisor? Who are my advisors? So this is your official introduction to the VAC, the Virtual Advising Center. If you remember nothing else from our presentation today, remember the VAC, vac.ucsd.edu. This is how you will contact your advisors if you have any questions in your time here. This is how advisors across campus communicate with students. We do not use email. We use the VAC. It is a centralized system where you submit your questions and you will get responses. It is not an instant messenger chat. It is a shared communication platform between department advisors and college advisors, so we can all see your communication in one place, and it will log all of your contacts you have with us, and you'll be able to go in and see anything related to your academic advising. Again, this is just academic advising. This is not financial aid. This is not housing. This is not IT. This is just academic advising. So VAC, VAC, VAC. It is crucial here for you to be in contact with us, and this is how we're also going to send information to you throughout your time here. So there's a screenshot right now that shows what it looks like when you log into the VAC. And if you have a question, you would then go to the left-hand side where it says ask a question, and you'll be able to pick the unit. So if you're trying to reach your major advisors in psychology, you would choose psychology from the drop-down menu. If you are a 7th college student and you have questions about your general education requirements in 7th college, you would click ask a question and then choose 7th college. Next slide, please. New transfer students can start to ask questions on the VAC on June 17th. So in less than 2 weeks, you will be able to start asking individual questions about your record to your department or college advisors. In order to submit questions through the VAC, you do need to complete what is called New Triton Advising, or NTA. You will most likely not meet with an advisor individually before you enroll. So college advisors and department advisors, we all have different models, and it's largely based on our staffing and resources. Most of the time, you won't meet individually with an advisor in the summer, but there are some exceptions to that. But you can always send messages through the VAC to find out what your unit is doing. A lot of these units will start drop-in advising in August or September. Many of us will do webinars throughout the summer to get you information, get you orientation. But no matter what major you are, no matter what college you're in, you will have access to advisors every day in the VAC starting on that June 17th date. We do need you to submit your academic background first, though, and this is all self-reported information. It's classes you're currently taking, it's placement information, it's your test scores that you're bringing in, and that really helps us to prepare to advise you for enrollment. And why? So as Camille explained a little bit about what's happening with admissions, the reality is that we don't know your record yet. If you submit everything by July 1st, it will be posted by August 12th, and you enroll starting August 14th. So throughout July, throughout the early parts of August, we really need this self-reported information to get a head start on knowing how to advise you. And when you're asking us questions, we'll be relying on that academic background and what you self-report to give you answers. If you do make a mistake when you are submitting your academic background or anything on NTA, don't panic. It is just part of your self-reported academic record. It's not anything that's going to drastically impact your ability to enroll or change your record here officially. So as Camille shared, departments will provide pertinent information for advisors, information sessions, orientations. Please continue to check your email and continue to check the VAC, because this is different based on whatever major you're part of. If you don't hear anything by the beginning or middle of August from your department advisors or from your college, you can reach out anytime through the VAC to find out what you should be doing. Our enrollment guidance for the colleges for your general education and university courses, that will be released in the VAC on August 7th, and that gives you more guidance about what you should be doing as you prepare to enroll. And then when you get through NTA and once you submit that academic background, that's when you'll be able to click on the VAC, ask a question, and be able to directly contact us. So as soon as the VAC opens for you, jump on there, go through New Triton Advising, give us that academic background information. You're going to learn some info as well through that. The colleges intentionally build it so that we're giving you information about what you need to know at that time. We're collecting information about what we need to know, and then you're welcome to reach out via VAC individually. I'm going to answer one of the questions in the chat was, how do I know who my advisors are? That's a great question. By and large, advisors on campus here are not assigned. So in Revelle College, for example, you can talk to anyone. It's usually first available to try to get you the fastest answer. Some units may divide up advising based on alphabetical breakdown of last names. Some advisors only have, or some units only have one or two advisors for their advisors, so they kind of do everything. But if you have questions, again, you would reach out in the VAC. We also have in NTA information about our staff in there usually, so you can get an idea of who we are. Katie McGann.
Got it myself. Katie McGann, Dean of Academic Advising for 8th College. We're not accepting transfers till fall 25, so I know none of you will necessarily be within 8th College, but welcome to UC San Diego, and I hope our paths cross at some point during your career here at UCSD. So where I'm going to kind of pick up is like, really, when does your enrollment begin? Michael talked a lot about what we'll start having available here coming up pretty soon, and being able to communicate, but your actual enrollment isn't going to start until mid to late August, which might actually feel late to you if you have any friends or peers that are going to semester schools. You're not behind. It's just with UCSD being on the quarter system, you're not going to be enrolling in your classes till a little bit later. So on July 29th, you'll be notified of when your enrollment times are for fall classes. We use it as a two-pass system for enrollment, and that's really so that students have an equitable opportunity to get access to courses. So what that will mean is you'll have a first pass time that's going to be between August 14th and August 16th. You'll have your own individual day and time that there's a window for you to enroll. And during that first pass, you'll be able to enroll in up to an 11.5 unit course load. Most of our courses are 4-unit classes, not all of them. There's some that are 2 units, some that are 2.5. So like there's outliers, but typically most courses are worth 4 units apiece. So if that's what you are enrolling in, you could get 2 of those in your first pass. Then everybody will have an opportunity to go through that first pass of enrollment, and then a second pass comes along, and yours will be between August 19th and the 22nd, and you'll have an opportunity to enroll in up to a total of 19.5 units in that second pass. All of this will kind of be gone over in your new Triton advising. You'll get some of this through your college and department, but this gives you a little preview of the way the 2-pass system works, how you'll enroll in 2 different waves for your courses. And again, all of this meant to provide students an equitable opportunity at classes, so that students that, for whatever reason, have a later time don't get the last crack at some of their most important classes. One thing that you can start looking at now is that all the schedule of classes for the fall are available, but I want to just give you a word of caution. Even for our first-year students last year in 8th College, this was something that they were like, oh no, there's no seats available. One of the things that is going on behind the scenes, Camille had mentioned things that are going on behind the scenes, departments are going to be holding seats in courses for new incoming students. Folks are very well aware that our incoming first years and transfers won't have registered for classes at this point. Our current students are enrolling in their classes for fall now. So departments on the back end are going to hold seats in many courses that typically incoming students take. It doesn't mean that every course is going to have a seat available in it that you're actually looking for, but it does mean don't worry too much right now if you are kind of eagerly looking at what classes you might take in the fall, because the availability is going to shift closer to the time when enrollment is happening as departments start releasing seats. One other really important thing about enrollment is that making sure that you're taking care of holds on your account that prevent you from enrolling. So there's a ton of things that you have to do as part of this incoming enrollment checklist. A lot of those things have deadlines, which you have to complete those, whether it's trainings, vaccine compliance, submitting your documents. All of those can potentially generate a hold if you don't take care of those. So I'd really encourage you to kind of utilize your enrollment checklist as kind of a North Star to really guide you on what your steps are to marching towards enrollment, and making sure that the things that are required, that you're getting those things done so that you don't have a hold. The last thing we want students to have is a feeling of panic because their enrollment time's up and they can't enroll in the courses that they want because of the hold on their account. Not all of those are things that can be resolved immediately. So we want you to give yourself some time and wiggle room on that. Next slide. Oh, sorry. One more back. In the meantime. Perfect. Okay. So kind of a little recap of where we're at. I already mentioned the enrollment checklist being a North Star. That's something that you all have access to as soon as you accept your offer to UCSD. Few things on there that I want to highlight. Sending in your transcripts to admissions. It's probably very obvious to send your college transcripts, including if you've been to multiple. If you're going to take anything over the summer through college other than UCSD, making sure that you get those sent in after your classes wrap up. High school transcripts is one that people are like, wait, why do I need to do that? Not every student is this pertinent, but I think it's better just to have it done. So if there's anything that would help clear the university has a American history and institutions requirement. A lot of students take either American history or government in high school, which typically is a course that is utilized to clear American history and institutions requirement. That's a university requirement. So if you have an opportunity to send in a high school transcript, I would recommend you do that. It's not something that is a requirement, but it could just clear up that university requirement once you get here and make it a little neat and cleaner. Another reason to send in official high school transcripts is if you attended a school and you had a language requirement that's for your major, major or college. Katie may mention something about this if I jump in here, but Revell and ERC both have language requirements. And then some of our majors, international business being one of them, sometimes you can use high school coursework from a language to get into a placement or show proficiency in the language. The other thing you want to be sending in, and I think I saw a question in the chat earlier that Katie was going to answer live, is regarding IGETC certification and having that sent to UCSD. It has to be a UC specific IGETC certification sent from your most recent community college that you've attended. It's not always something that your community college transcript automatically shows. So sometimes you have to designate IGETC and also the transcript. A little kind of tip out there, if you are maybe just 1 or 2 classes away from completing your IGETC, take a look at whether that's feasible for you to finish over the summer. It may not be something that is possible, but with getting all of your general education requirements completed, sometimes having a completed IGETC helps make your transition to UCSD smoother. So if you are somebody that's just 1 or 2 classes away from that, I would utilize the virtual advising center to maybe put that question out to your college advising. Katie, would you recommend that that's like a good way to go there? An appropriate question for the back?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's just an example of being able to utilize the VAC once that becomes live to ask a question, right? We're not going to have your official documentation, but if you already know, hey, I'm only 1 class away from completing my IGETC, would this be worth it for me to finish in the summer? And you have the ability to do so. Ask that question. AP and IB scores or some other things that you want to send to admissions. Those don't always show up on your community college transcripts, and those can yield you additional academic credit or clear some requirements. Katie already mentioned submitting your academic background on New Triton Advising, and then signing up for your college orientations. This is kind of more of a tip than it is like an actual checklist item, but making sure that you're checking your UCSD email or whatever account like that you have that forwarded to, doing that. That is the official way that we will be communicating with you. I know it feels very curmudgeon-y, but it is the official way that we would communicate with you now that you've had official UCSD email addresses. I'll end this slide with a couple like proactive tips. I mentioned looking at the schedule of classes. This is just to really start imagining what you might take in the fall. Looking at your academic history, there's not going to be a ton that's on there until admissions has posted all your academic credit, but that's a place that you can really go and see a home base. Sam mentioned a little later in the series, you'll be talking a little bit more about degree audits. That's really your personalized roadmap for what you have left to do and what you've already done. And then just knowing a lot of these things are going on behind the scenes, just a reminder to be patient. We know this time is exciting because it's a new transition and it's a time to celebrate. But there's also a lot of angst on knowing, okay, is this done? Is this done? What's going on? So just knowing folks are going to be there for you behind the scenes to get you transitioned as smoothly as possible to UCSD. And then next slide. So I'll kind of wrap things up with some pro tips. I already mentioned checking your email. One of the things that you can do when you are going through your new Triton advising and your enrollment, or excuse me, your orientation enrollment, is signing up for text alerts for your virtual advising messages. One of the most common things is that with virtual advising messages, it doesn't give you the actual message. You have to log into your personalized portal to actually see the message. So with how many emails students are inundated with, getting those text alert can kind of bump that up in your priority list to make sure you're looking at those. So I'd really encourage you to sign up for those text alerts. If there's something you don't know, this isn't meant to be like, oh, you go figure it out on your own, but just know that there's a lot that if you Google, that there are some really great resources you can find and some kind of self-service. Again, it's not meant to take the place of us being there to help you navigate things, but just knowing that there is a lot that sometimes is accessible, and then you can get it with a kind of a type of the fingers. And then I really do want to reiterate the holds. I mentioned that earlier. That's something that I think can be one of those things that can be a real barrier for students. And I totally get looking through that checklist. It's a lot to chew off and like bite off along the way. And really want to make sure as much as possible that you're in a great position to be able to enroll in the classes and kind of minimize some of that frustration that might happen in August if some of these holds are, excuse me, if some of these to-dos are not done. And then Camille mentioned this earlier, that if you anticipate that you might need to petition some courses while you're still kind of wrapping up your academic years, getting some of those syllabi and course descriptions if you think you might need them. And then I'm going to end it on this next slide here, which has 5 dates in here. I'd really encourage you to take a hot second to put these dates in your phone, to have an alert, because once like your enrollment times pass, there's nothing we can do to reopen those appointment windows. So especially those last 2 of knowing when your enrollment times are, super critical. So I'd really use this, like I'll just sit here awkwardly for 60 seconds if it's helpful, and you can just throw these in your phone. Okay, I think that was about a minute. Sam, back to you.
Thank you to our advisors for presenting and sharing the knowledge that you just gave us all. So we do have a few more minutes left to do some live Q&A if y'all have time for that. I do see some of the questions in the Q&A box being answered as well, but we can go ahead and either highlight any things we saw in questions that we got in the chat. So feel free to answer those.
I want to address a couple of topics that I'm seeing a lot in the chat, which I love. These are really good questions y'all are sending. All right, so in terms of sending transcripts, so if you took a class dual enrollment in high school, or if you have AP or IB credit that was posted on your transcript at the community college, we need everything, and we need the official test scores directly from College Board, directly from the IB folks. We need official transcripts from every institution. So if you started at San Diego Mesa College and then you transferred to CSU San Marcos and you just want to send us your San Marcos transcript, please don't. Please send us everything. We have to have it from every institution that you have ever attended officially from there. And then there were quite a few questions about IGETC. So for those of you who are not familiar with IGETC, it is the Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum, and it is an agreement with California community colleges for completion of your lower division general education courses once you transfer to a university. So I will say, if you completed IGETC, or if you're not sure, what you would do is you would go to your academic advising or counseling office at your home community college, and you would ask them to evaluate your record for IGETC completion. If you do a quick Google search of your community college plus IGETC, you will find how they want you to make that request. Now, this is different by every single institution, which is very frustrating for transfer students and for advisors here, honestly, too. There's usually some kind of a worksheet that they will go through, and they will evaluate each area to make sure that you took the correct course pattern in order to be able to complete IGETC. Sometimes it's posted on your transcript, but usually it's not. So if you have any more specific questions about IGETC, here's my pitch. Next week, same time, same place, I will be working with Sam and one of our assistant directors in the admissions office to talk much more in depth about IGETC. But for now, I will just say, do a quick Google, look at your home community college, find out how they send that information, get it sent over to admissions, because it most likely is something specific, not on your transcript, that you would need to have that IGETC certificate sent. McGann and Camille, what else would you like to answer?
Guess we can, I was just typing this out, but to clarify, New Triton Advising opens on the 17th. And at that point, you can fill out your academic background. Once you fill out your academic background, then you'll get access to actually utilize the question and answer function of the virtual advising center, right? That's kind of a measure to ensure that when an advisor is working with you, we at least have some of that background information from you about what you've taken, right? And again, that's to help fill in the gaps for us, because we won't have access to your official documentation until admissions gets that all posted a little later in the summer. And that might be why sometimes some of the departments might ask, hey, could you send us, depending on your question, your unofficial transcript, so that we can at least see a little bit more if there is a question that we have to have a little bit more to go off of.
I answered a question. I typed in a response to the question, but I did want to reiterate it out loud. A few students asked about submitting their transcripts and who they would need to submit it to. Like some of the examples were like the major advisors, their email. So remember, you have to submit your official transcripts and test scores to the UCSD Office of Admissions. Earlier, I mentioned that some major departments may ask you to submit unofficial transcripts to their offices. And if a major department does, they will reach out to you with instructions. So like, for example, in biology, we do ask our incoming transfer students to submit unofficial transcripts to our office, our advising team. And you would get instructions on how to submit that specifically to bio in a couple of weeks when we send you a letter around June 17th. So just wait for the instructions, but you will get more info if you are required to submit unofficial transcripts. Oh, sorry, I checked. I was like, what? I did check out another question live. So a student is asking, is there any way that I could know what classes I should take for my major, which is in biz econ, upper division, something like a 2-year plan. So remember, first step is making sure you submit your official transcripts by July 1st. So that your transfer coursework can be posted. There is a website, a resource for UCSD called plans.ucsd.edu, where you plans.ucsd.edu, where you do have access to 2-year plans. So you could see general plans for completing requirements for your specific major. And so they're general, right? So depending on what you transfer to UCSD, it may alter a little bit, but I would reference that first as you're trying to plan for the upcoming quarter. Again, after you complete your academic background in the new Triton advising site, you will have access to the virtual advising center, where you can follow up with your Biz Econ major advisors for help with fall quarter planning. I'll answer this next question live. Can advisors help with making an education plan? So again, every office has different like processes and practices for when they offer certain services, especially for planning for fall enrollment with like new students. There's thousands of students that are entering UCSD. So we have our different practices in place to help transfer students, especially transition for fall. Colleges and departments do offer long-term planning appointments, but I will say they may not be offered currently. So for example, for biology, you will not be able to make a long-term planning appointment until after you are enrolled in the fall coursework. So some other major departments may ask you to wait until fall quarter begins. But everything is going to be specific to your major office, so you would want to follow up with your major advisors.
If I could just add on that too, a lot of how we plan our advising for our new students on campus is really based on just in time, like what do I need to know right now kind of information, which is why we're so happy that we are able to share this with you, because we know that you're coming in, you've accepted your offer and you're like, now what? What do I do? My friends are enrolling. Can I enroll? Can I meet with an advisor? And it's sort of like, we know you're really excited, but we can't really tell you anything right now. So we are hoping that what we shared today is really helpful in terms of just right now, what do you need to know? We are not going to leave you to the wolves. So in August, you are going to have the information about what you need to know right then. How do you enroll? How do you use the schedule of classes? What are your tools? How do you find these classes? What is your major? So we're going to get you that information throughout the summer. And then in terms of that long-term plan, the 2 or the 3-year transfer plan, we are totally going to get you that information. Likely in fall, because even though you may feel like right now I need to know exactly what I need for the next 2 years, in reality, we can't even give you a lot of that information because the only classes that we know right now is what is offered in fall. So we're just going to ask for your patience. We love the enthusiasm. We are totally here to help. And we're going to continue to try to be very intentional in terms of the information that we share so that we don't just throw you into the deep end or leave you entirely without resources.
I don't see any questions left in the Q&A, but in the meantime, in case someone is typing up a question, I will go ahead and launch a poll for folks to fill out if they still have questions and would like to meet with one of our peer coaches at the Triton Transfer Hub. Fill out this poll and we will go ahead and get you connected with one of our coaches.
Sam, would you share a little bit about what your peer coaches talk about like in the summer? Like if they want to schedule with a peer coach right now, what could that person help them with?
Yes, I was actually about to segue into that. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat, but I just put the link in the chat to make an appointment with our coaches as well. If you do fill out the poll, we will reach out to you or we'll have your coach reach out to you to schedule an appointment with you. But over the summer, we will be having transfer peer coaches who will be entering their second year at UCSD. So these are current transfer students who have already completed their first year here on campus. And so we will be having coaches work over the summer to help support you all in your transition into the university. And so whether that's learning the ins and outs of UCSD or if you need someone to go to support for in terms of getting connected to different resources on campus, or if you just need some academic tips or just tips on getting prepared for navigating the quarter system, our peer coaches will be here to support. If they don't know the answer to your question, they are very knowledgeable on all resources on campus, so they will be able to help you, direct you in the right way as well. And so, if you are not here in SD, we will be having coaches also have virtual appointments over the summer. And so you're actually all able to meet with them now, but again, they'll be available throughout the summer as well. And the link in the chat will lead you to the peer coaches who are currently working. And so you'll get to see some of their bios and what their majors are, what colleges they're in. And so if you're interested in meeting with someone right now, you'll get to pick and choose who you want to meet with. Okay, let me see any other questions. Katie, I see you answering that question. Did you want to answer it live?
I was thinking that same thing. So we got a good question in the chat about the timeline for graduation. So is it normal to take more than 2 years to graduate for a transfer student? And it really depends on your major, and it depends on the preparation that you brought in. So there are some majors, including physics, data science, and a couple of the engineering ones, that it's planned to take 3 years to graduate. And part of that is because of the sequencing of the upper division major courses when they're offered. We do not want you taking 6 or 7 classes at a time. So it depends on the major. It depends also if you change your major, if you, economics is a good example of this. If you don't bring in a certain level of math preparation, it will take you a little bit longer. That plans website that we shared in the chat for every major, and our advisors are currently, as we speak, literally my team is working on this right now, updating these plans. They get updated every single year. But so if you don't see your current major for the 2024 year, you can use the 2023 year, but there is a transfer plans tab on there. So say that you are a 2023 use 2023 Revell biology major, there's a transfer tab on there that you can see those 2 years mapped out, but they are just templates and it will depend on the coursework that you bring in.
I'm going to answer the next question live if we still have time. When can transfer students declare a double major or a minor? So at this time, I would say wait until you at least start fall quarter. Typically, we encourage students to schedule a long-term planning appointment with their current major to see an individualized plan for completing their current major requirements. And then from there, you would want to schedule an appointment with your college advisors. So you have a plan for completing your GE university requirements, whatever that may be. And then from there, we would say meet with the second major or the minor department you would want to declare a minor with to see a plan or discuss a plan for completing their requirements to see if you would be able to finish in the 6 quarters or the extra quarters, depending on the other majors that Katie Michael just listed. But I would say you would want to wait until after meeting with your current advisors to see a plan for finishing everything. So probably wait until fall quarter to start really diving into the process for declaring a double major and minor.
We got another good question here. So there is a university requirement that you need 180 units or credits to graduate. And do AP and IB credits taken before transferring that, and do units taken before coming to UCSD count towards this? Yes, absolutely. So anything that you have taken previously, as long as it's UC transferable, will apply towards that 180. There is one big exception though, or one big caveat to that, is students can only transfer in 105 lower division units. AP and IB credit are not counted into that. So you get 105 lower division units plus AP IB when you come in. If you took 160 units, we'll accept 105 of that, but we will accept any of those courses you've completed towards requirements if it's on top of that 105. And that's what's happening this summer is admissions is figuring out, is that classwork you see transferable? Your major advisors are going, do we need petitions? How does this come in? Your college advisors are going, oh my gosh, of these 105 units, how do we apply this? So that's what takes so long all summer as we are individually looking at student records.
One thing I'll just kind of mention that knowing that most of you are going to be transferring in from a semester-based system, the way that you calculate out, like, wait, is that 100, 105? What is that equivalent to? So 105 quarter units is equivalent to 70 semester units. So you just, the way to do it is you take your semester units, multiply it by 1.5, and that gives you your equivalent quarter hours.
So we are coming up on time, but thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope to have you join us next week for our session on IDETSI and transcripts, which will be same time, same place, same Zoom link. And thank you to our panelists today for your time and knowledge that you shared with us. Again, we will be posting the recording of today's session along with the summary notes on our STEP webpage. So feel free to look back through that as well. But yeah, thank you everyone, and we'll go ahead and see some of y'all again next week.
Congratulations.